See these people? Can you see this? Oh my god. I feel scammed. This really upsets me. Just saying. Okay, hey guys, so in this video I want to do something different. This is different in many ways. Different in that, one, basically all the time now, the only videos on my channel are fun content interviews, and I want to switch it up. I guess I've been sort of in a reflection mood, and I'm like, I'm more than just fun connect. I love it, don't get me wrong, like I love it so much, but I also really enjoyed creating that kind of videos when I used to do that like maybe 18 months ago, like more teaching videos, more lifestyle-ish kind of thing. So we're gonna try that. So that's in one way that this is also different. Two, instead of just doing a normal hair talking video, I figured, you know what, follow me around my day and kind of watch me do the things that give me joy. Cooking doesn't necessarily give me joy. However, I'm hungover at the moment, and before I can show the rest of the video, I need to eat. So yeah, cooking is part of it. But I'm going to spend today doing other things that really gives me joy these days and talk to you through it. What I want to talk to you about is, you know, lessons I've learned in this new year. I turned 27 about a few weeks ago, October 8th. And typically I would write about turning a new age, the lessons I've learned, or a wish list or whatever. But I usually do something before or like release on that day. But this year I didn't. I thought about it so much and I really wanted to, but I was just not in the mood. I was tired, so I was using that week to rest. And I'm like trying to talk or write. It's just going to be extra brain work. And instead, I just want to chill. So I chilled that whole week, partied the night of Friday night, and had friends over on Saturday. I just had a really good time and had so much joy. And I figured, you know, it's my life and it's my channels. I can always do it. And now I'm doing it. The last year has been one of the best, but also one of the rockiest for me. It was hard in ways that I could never have imagined. But it was also beautiful in ways that I didn't think it could be. It was a mix of both. And you know me, I'm always picking lessons from things, not because I'm trying to be, just because I'm always thinking. So yeah, I want to share some of the lessons that I learned in this year that has helped me still keep standing, but I also want to hold firmly in this new age, right? Because a lot of the times when I also like do like, oh, 25 things I've learned, 25 and all of that is a reminder of the things that I want to remember as I go this age, because in the next 12 months, things are going to happen in my life, and I want to be able to come back to this video and say, hey, yeah, you said that. You should listen to your past self and do that. So one is for me, but I'm also hoping that it also inspires you and you learn something from me as usual. And you just also watch me box enjoy for the rest of this video, doing some of the things that I like. And actually brings me to the first lesson. Choose joy. I got a tattoo of choose joy in December last year, right? It's so cute. It's probably one of my best. That's not true. This is my favorite tattoo. It makes me feel really sexy. But yeah, choose joy. And it's just a reminder to deliberately choose joy, that I cannot depend on what is happening or not happening to give me joy in my life. Instead, I have to rely on myself and create joy, right? Joy is more internal than it is external. It's more about deciding in every moment that I'm going to have joy. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to find my happiness. I'm going to find my peace regardless of what is happening. But also realizing that choosing joy needs you to find the things that can actually trigger and stimulate joy. And it differs at different points in time. I think a lot last year, joy for me was swimming. Whenever I'm underwater, I just feel a certain peace, and I come out and I'm like, yes, I'm ready for the day, I'm ready for the week. These days is FIFA. I'm still terrible at it. So when I play online, people are still beating me like 4-5-0. However, it helps me decompress. It helps me just be in the moment and I just have fun with it. So I might be very angry, upset about something, but when I take on my console pad, I just find like I feel a lot better. And I'm doing it more often just because it makes me feel better. And I'm finding other things. I'm taking long walks, right, in the evenings, riding scooters and riding cycles. I'm finding the things. I'm looking for movies that might not be the best sellers right now, the top one, but they are the kind of movies that actually just like, yeah, I have fun watching this. I like it. I'm sleeping more when I feel like sleeping. I'm doing things that I know already spark joy in my life. So when I feel down, I'm like, oh, I need to choose joy. What can I do that I already know has a history? And if at some point that changes, I change and I find a new thing and just find new hobbies. So the first one is choose joy and bask in it. And basking in it is hold it as closely as possible as you can, right? I said I went to party on the 9th of my birthday, and I did that. And I just didn't feel any pressure to post my thank you immediately on social media. I apologize. But I just wanted to hold it, right? Because sometimes joy is also just staying with me and just putting myself in that zone and not caring about, oh, I have to mark attendance here or mark attendance there, and just bask in it as much as I can in that moment. So that's my first lesson, choose joy. Why my oil gets hot? My second lesson is that, and it's automatically a nice one, but the adult friendships are very complicated. Or maybe it's just my circle. But I think generally, like the older you get, at least the older I get, the more clarity I have generally in every aspect of my life, right? The more I understand things, the more complex they are and the more simple they are at the same time. There's more thoughts and more deliberacy, that it's not just vibes that begins to happen. And obviously more overthinking as well, which is where the lesson for that is adult friendships are complicated actually comes from, right? Just learning on and really understanding the dynamics of friendship. Just understanding like the dynamics of friendship, right? That to build really great friendships, a lot of things are needed. Things that you wouldn't think, things that are simple but also can be complicated, like loyalty, like honesty, like forgiveness, like setting expectations. And not just assuming that your friends know how to be good friends to you, just the way you be deliberate in relationship, like romantic relationship, and telling your partner how to love you. You have to tell your friends what you expect from them as well. And then when they fall short, you have to decide if friendships that matter enough to you to not just say, I'm going to keep malice, but I'm going to try and I'm going to forgive and I'm trying to move on no matter how hard it is. And just being generally honest as in any relationship, but also loyalty, knowing who your friends are and knowing who are for you, and also working the very sometimes complicated part of what shared friendships are when you have circles or when you have cliques by another. Who can I really call? Because not everybody that you might be close to that same extent. It's a very interesting lesson that I don't think there's any inspiration. It's just me learning that, oh yes, friendships take as much work, sometimes even more than even just romantic relationships. Certain expectations are needed, knowing your friends, knowing what they want, how they want to be loved, knowing how you want to be loved, knowing what you expect from your kind of friend, knowing the kind of friendship you want to build, because you have different level of friendships or relationships with people. Some are just going to be acquaintance, some are going to be like, oh yeah, we're really good friends, we'll hang out all the time, so I will share my problems with you. And knowing where somebody falls in, and knowing how it differs and how to navigate that path, and just knowing that truth and loyalty and all of these things and deliberateness and actually keeping in touch, and actually that a critical aspect of being friends with people is being open. I'm coming to that. Let me find my egg. A critical aspect of building relationships is vulnerability, is openness. I'm not a very open person. Like, I would answer questions if you ask me, but I will not readily share like my problems or the things that are bugging me, right? But to actually build friendships, people need to know that you can trust them. It's a very interesting thing. I always feel like, oh, if I hang out all the time, we know that we're friends, but like you get closer with people. Friendships become deeper with people when they feel like they have a part of you, when you're able to be open, and when you're able to create safe space for your friends as well to be, because it's both ways, right? It's being able to like, oh, I have to deliberately create a safe space for my friends so that they can talk to me about stuff, and I'm willing to help and support them. But also knowing that for friends who have created a safe space, or I feel like it's a safe space, I also have to do the extra work to become open with them as well. Yeah, I know friendships are complicated. Ooh. As I'm here, I'm confused what I want this egg to be, scrambled or not. We'll stick with not scrambled. But I swear that was the initial plan, to make scrambled eggs, but now it's not because I'm talking too much. But yes, so set expectations, forgive, know who are for you, be loyal, be honest, be truthful, but also be open, be vulnerable. That's really how you get to connect deeply with people. I'm learning to find the people that I feel have safe spaces that I can be open with. I'm learning to create safe spaces for friends to be open. I'm just learning that I have to do extra work to talk more, to share more, if I really want to connect deeply with people. Because if I'm just really closed off and just like, well, let's also be vibing, it would just remain at the surface. And the more deep friendships you have, the more wholesome your life is, the more easier it is. And when things go wrong, these are the people who also support you. So yeah, adult friendships. I think that one of the most important exercises I've done in my life is the core values exercise. I made a video on it about maybe 2.5 years, almost 3 years ago, maybe more, called personal core values, and it was super amazing. And then when I went back to therapy, my therapist and I did the core values exercise as well. And one of the things that struck me from that was just how much my core values is still similar. Are still the same, even as I've gone through different changes. And I was like, oh, I'm proud of myself for being able to do the values by myself like 3 years ago. And even now that I'm much older and I'm doing this as a professional, I'm still coming up with the same result. But more than that, it was also really understanding what these things meant to me in deeper forms. For instance, one of my core values has always been stability. But it was not until recently when I was doing my therapy that I really understood what stability means and where stability comes from. And that's something I'm still working through, why stability is such an important thing to me, because I want to take more risk in my life. But again, right, it's one of the most important exercises. I'm talking about this as a core lesson in this year because knowing what my values are do two things for me. It helps me keep me centered. It helps me to create the life that I want to live and the person that I am and the person that I want to become. That's really what it is, right? My core values is how I want to live life and the things I want to strive for, to be better at and to become, and the things that guide my choices. And it has always sort of felt like, oh, I know I have these principles and it can be very futuristic. But in the last couple of months, a lot of things happened in my personal life that rocked me and made me question who I am. And I just did things that I shouldn't have done. But what brought me back to myself and helped me retrace my steps was going back to my core values and saying, peace, you might have made some mistakes, but the person that you are and the person that you want to be can do these things. And if honesty, for instance, is a core value from you, then you have to be true to yourself and the truth has to be front and center. And if impact is your core value, then that has to be the most important thing. And so just using that as a blueprint, it helped me just retrace my steps and just make me find peace and say, okay, yes, I made these mistakes, but it's very much easier. But it's much easier to just be like, yes, I still want to become this person and keep going on my way to become that person I want to be. So I've probably said it a couple of times in different videos, but if you have never done it, I think just knowing what you value, the values, that the principles that you live by, that you want to live by, the person that you want to become and the life that you want to create, it's just an essential part of just being true to yourself and being the kind of person that you'll be proud of, because that's really what I want. I want every day to be the kind of person that I am going to be proud of and to be able to make the choices that really connect to my essence and the things that matter most to me, and I never want to derail from that. And even when I do, these are the things that also help me find my way back. So yeah, core values is really important, and I'm glad that I have them. I'm glad that I know them. I'm glad that when I need them, it's important for me to remember them. And as I go into New Year, as now in this new age, I want to just always remember to check on myself. Like, are you still in line with these things? The choices and decisions I'm making, are they in line with these things that are listed? So yeah, that's lesson number 3. Let me finish my food. Can I finish my food? Otherwise it's going to get cold. And
a few moments later.
The fourth lesson is really simple. Stay in your lane. The world will adjust. Do the thing that you want to do, no matter how niche, no matter how broad, no matter how populated, no matter what. Just do the things that you want to do, whatever it is. If you want to lock your hair. If you want to build a YouTube channel and a brand of interviewing tech founders that nobody has done before, do it, right? Just stay in your lane, and eventually the world will adjust, and eventually you find your people. I was talking to someone the other day about content marketing, and I said the great thing about content is, one, you can do a lot of research and say, oh, these are the things that that's trending, these are the keywords that have the most search volume, all of that stuff, and build content around what is trending, what people are doing, and what keywords have the right search volume, right? And you will find those people, and you would follow the trend, and you find people who are, looking for content around those trends. That's one way to do. Another way to do it is that, or what even happens, even if you go the other way, is that people will also find you as a result of the content that you create. So even if it doesn't exist at all, as you begin to do it, more and more people would just signal here and there, and people will find you and realize that they like you, and you find your own community and build your own community around that thing that is unique to you, that didn't even have like a high search volume. It might take longer, but it exists and it would happen. So stay in your lane, right? Just do the things that you want to do, and the world will adjust, and it would make more sense to you, and you find more clarity, and you will know if you want to keep doing it or if you don't want to keep doing it, that you just keep doing it. And the next lesson is very similar to that one, which is that I recently celebrated 1 million views on YouTube. And that morning when I saw the stat, I had mixed feelings about it, because I was like, 1 million views is a great milestone, but it's not also that much, right? People have 1 million views in a YouTube video. And to think about how long I've been creating content to hit it, it was good to finally get there. But it was also like, should it have been? But then what really stayed with me was the reason why I did YouTube in the first place, and realizing that the why trumps everything. And I haven't even been thinking or looking forward or measuring or counting to that milestone. I just saw, like, I literally opened my email and I'm like, oh, we are here now. And I shared it with my team, like, guys, congratulations to us all. But I wasn't counting. I didn't even know it was close. I didn't know that it was coming, because numbers has never meant anything to me. What has always meant something to me, and one of the reason why I keep doing it, is because of the why, is because of the impact. Like, I know the reason why I'm doing is, I know what I want it to do for people. I see the results, I see the testimonials, I see the comments, I hear the stories, I get the DMs, and that has always been more important to me than anything. And so I rejoice every day for every single video, because all of them are their own milestones. And so I don't think about or compare myself to everybody else, because the impact I'm making is very different, and it's very true, and it's very deep, and it's for years. You get what I mean? So yeah, the why really matters. Why you're doing something matters more than what you think you should be measuring or what everybody else is measuring. Another thing that it reminded me of, though, is not just the why, it's also that there are different signals for success. I remember that one of the early signals I got that my YouTube was going to become a thing was from a gig I got because of my videos. When I started videos, I was mostly like doing kind of videos like this, like sharing live lessons and also teaching a lot on marketing and business, right? And I remember, like, maybe just a few months after I released my first couple of videos, someone reached out to me to say, hey, their MD wanted me to come teach their entire marketing department on some of the things that I was teaching on YouTube. And I remember charging this outrageous amount at that time. I think it was like 500K, and getting paid for it, and realizing that that cost would cover the last 6 months and probably the next 6 months of what it was costing me to make the YouTube videos, right? Because I was investing my money in equipment. I had Steven, we were working together at that time. And so I realized, oh my God, this one gig just paid all of the cost 6 months after, the next 6 months, and I will still have like extra profit. And I'm like, and that's just one. And there were many more gigs that have come, and many more things, and even actual 9-to-5 jobs that have come as a result of what I do. But that was my very first early signal of success, to say, hey, it's not really about the views for me at the very least. It's about the quality of the content and making sure that it reaches the right kind of people, the target audience that I want. Because if it does, then I get bigger things than just views. Then I get deals, then I get jobs, then I get stuff that is much more money. I'm signing deals on small views with awesome brands just because of the quality of the content. So know what your signal of success is. Mine isn't the numbers, mine is the impact and the specific reach and what it gives me on the side, my personal life, but also the reason why I'm doing it, and that keeps me going. So even if it takes 10 years to do 10 million, we're here because the signal remains. If the signal and the why remains the same, they will keep doing it anyway. The next lesson is that courage is hard. One of my life mantras, if you stayed with me long enough, is do it afraid. I say it so many times, so much. I think a lot of people around me say it at the same time. However, I realized recently that there are levels to doing it afraid. There are some, I'll just send this cold email, like even if I get no, I'll just apply for this job. Like rejection is okay, make me resilient. But then there are some things like, I want to quit my job and I can't do it. There's a different level of doing it afraid and courage, because they're like, how would I pay my rent? But yeah, doing it afraid is still a big part of my life. But I also added fact that courage is hard, and so it might take some time to do it afraid, and that's okay. I was talking to someone yesterday, just like career coaching, and I said, the next step that you have to take, the most important thing is for you to decide what that next step is. It's not really taking the step. It's deciding, okay, this is what I want to do. And then if it takes you a few weeks, even if a few months, to then put all the things you need to do in place to then take that next step, that's also okay, as long as you end up doing it. I'm not saying wait for too long because courage is hard, right? I'm saying do it afraid, but recognize that even if you can't take the step immediately, you realize you have to do that thing. That's also okay, because you might need the time to create peace. You might need the time to do like plan A and plan B. You might just need the time to settle in that decision that you're about to make, and that's okay. As long as the reason why you want to make that choice or that decision, why you want to do that thing, remains with you and you hold it closer to your heart, it would always be okay to do. You will always end up doing it, right? You might just take a little bit of time, and that's fine. So do it afraid. But courage is hard, and so it's okay to take a bit of time before you actually like take the step. The next one is about focus and just mind space. I've always done so many things. I have like probably 3 or 4 videos on this channel about being a multi-potentialite and just how to excel doing so many things. But maybe it's old age, but I'm beginning to realize that being able to do many things is great, being able to excel many things is great, but there's things that you want to pursue that requires a lot of focus to nurture and to grow and to build, and also just the mind space. So think about it a lot. I don't know what I'm doing in that lesson yet, but it's the back of my mind that there's some things that you will need to do that will require more mind space, that doing so many things that is competing for your attention and for your ideas might not be the most healthy thing at that time. Maybe it's at the early stages of something, maybe it's at the latter stages of something, maybe it's just when you're at the peak, you know, that I'm just about to. But yes, every now and again in your life, you might come across times and phases and seasons where you realize that you need to take a step back and focus on creating mind space. I think I'm there. I haven't entirely done all I need to do to create the mind space and to say no to all my distractions. But let's see what this 2017 year brings, because yeah, mind space is important and focus is important. So the other one wants to play together, right? So this one is close to the one I talked about choosing your joy, right? Stay away from people and places and things that trigger you. And I think I've kind of shared this in one of my former videos. But yeah, it's not something that makes you weak. It's actually self-care. If you know that something or someone triggers you, do your own work by yourself to stay away from it. It's just really that simple. Like, you should care more about yourself than, oh my god, this is a goal. But yeah, stay away from people, places, or things that trigger you. It's a sign of strength. It's literally self-care. It's a thing that you should do as much as you can. If you've tried to make something work and it doesn't, if it's a job that's triggering you, do the work that you need to do. Find another one. Speak to your manager. Do whatever it is that you can to take away the things that trigger you, that give you anxiety. I realized I was having a lot of anxiety over something specific, and I have anxiety, but not about this. So I did the work and took myself out of the equation. If you cannot take it out of the equation, then you can take yourself out of it. Anyway, it's quite similar to the one I shared earlier about choosing joy, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to optimize for the things that make you happy. That's the only way to enjoy this life that you're living, right? So stay away from things that trigger you and enjoy joy. Another one I want to share is that there's no one way to be the career. I've seen a lot of debate around, you must stay in a job for X number of years, otherwise it's going to come and bite you in the ass. But there are a lot of people who are not doing that and doing the opposite of that and are still building amazing careers. There's debate on who is better, generalist or specialist. And there's also proof that either actually works. It just depends on your own choices. So it's not really doing it the way everybody thinks that it should be done, because who knows who will be needed more in a few years, generalist or specialist. It could actually be anybody. So instead, focus on optimizing for the best case scenario for where you want to go to, right? What choices do you need to make sure that what you want to achieve that what you want to achieve, that you actually achieve it. I was telling somebody the other day in one of my career coaching sessions that any of the options you're currently asking me actually works, right? Should you do this or should you not do that? Both of them actually work. What is most important isn't what you think you should be doing, but where you want to go and finding the blueprints that takes you there. In one of my ideal career scenarios, the thing that I want to do, I would look at people who have done them, who are on that level in their career, and figure out what do I need to do for myself? What do I trust to make? What kind of jobs do I need to take? What kind of skills do I need to learn? How long do I need to stay here? What do I need to do to actually sort of like match this person's thing, or sort of like be able to present myself and grow my skills and grow my knowledge and grow my network in a way that attracts the kind of thing that I want to do. So it's more focused on where you're going to, focus on the kind of career you want to build, and focus on the things that you need to do that will take you there, right? It's not about what everybody else is saying or what everybody else thinks it should be. It's just really about you, right? So there isn't one way to be the career. I think you can build, I think there are a lot of proof for any option or pathway in career building. And I think the most important thing that actually determines success is you and your own choices and your own reasons, not anything else, really. I've also learned today that I cannot play game and talk. And this is interesting because the primary reason why I started playing games is because I needed to find a different indoor way to decompress. At some point in my life, it used to be movies. I would watch movies and I would just, forget about work, because my brain is always thinking about work. But the movies do not work anymore, because I can watch a movie and I can be pressing my computer. And the kind of movies I watch as well are really full good movies. So you don't even need to know anything to do anything. I can know the beginning from the end. So it got really easier for me to watch movies and work. But I can't be going out all the time because I don't want to work. So like, what else can I do? And then I said, you know what, let me try FIFA. FIFA, because I used to play games as a child with my brother, and I know that, FIFA is something that I think I could be good at. And I used to play football in secondary school as well. So it just kind of makes sense to start with soccer, to be very honest, because it just connected me to who I used to be, playing soccer as a child and just playing with my brother. But then I started playing it and realized it did for me what movies I used to do. It wasn't just, let me try it. I think I could be good at it. I would enjoy it. It helped me focus. it helped me decompress, because once I'm playing, I have to concentrate. And in that concentrating mode, I can't be thinking about anybody's goals or anybody's metrics. It's just concentration. And it's been working. So whenever I'm like tired of work, I play, spend 10 or 20 minutes, not thinking about anything work related, decompress a little bit, and then come back. And my mind is fresh enough to move forward. So that's something that I've learned. I don't know if that teaches you anything, but yes. This is a fun one, and is that I'm more of my mom every day. I mean, good and bad. I'll tell you the bad. You know how you do something or you say something and you're like, wow, where did that come from? And I'm like, yeah, that's my mother speaking. That happens to me, especially about some things that make me paranoid. Just because, mothers are mothers. And there's something I want to do, and I'll just hear he say something. I'm like, yeah, this is not particularly talking. This is your mom talking. And you have to decide on if that's something that's still relevant to me on my day-to-day. But also, learning just how much watching my mom as a child has influenced me now without knowing. I think one of the things that I heard a lot as a child, two things. One, you don't eat now. What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? Eat now. And two, just that you're so lazy. And yes, in still domestic things, I am still very lazy. However, I didn't know that even though I wasn't picking those domestic traits and loving them, I was watching my mom just hustle. And maybe it's genetics. Maybe it's not even me just that I learned it. It's probably just in my genes. But there's a level of work ethic that I have that I just know that this comes from my mom. And I think it's something that I remember more for now, because I hear a lot of people say it. Like, my friends are like, you walk and you're really good at stuff. There's nobody I've worked with that doesn't have 9 things to say. And that's just because regardless of how stressed I am or how many things I'm doing, I would give my best to every single one of them. I would rather die than not give my best. And so that work ethic is just there. That kindness and generosity is just there. And when I think about it, I feel like it's not something I had to learn. It's something that was just in me. But I think it's very closely attributed to who my mother is. And so I'm much more grateful for her now, because maybe as a child I was grateful. Oh, I have a mom and she'll take care of me and she'll have all my needs. And at some point it was to have somebody who's praying for me actively. And I knew that, yes, if I'm not praying for myself, my mom is praying for me. But even now, at this stage of my life, I'm becoming more grateful, not just to have someone who took care of me or to have someone who's praying for me, but to have someone who's so amazing that I have those attributes that I still want to have, attributes that I really like, and attributes that make me a much, much more better person. And this is one of the things that I'm keeping in my mind and keeping my focus. I'm just trying to bask in that. Yeah, you know what? This is my mother in me, and I'm super grateful for it. So yeah, that's one of the things I've entered 27 with. Another one is that everyone has a story, and this is probably one of the biggest lessons that Founders Garden has taught me. Every single person has a story. There's just a story of how did you get from point A to point B, like from this station to this station in London is a story. So everybody does have a story. All it takes is asking questions and asking the right questions and creating a space or the couch for them to sit and tell the story. And for everybody's story, there's something to pick. There's always something to pick. Some of them have the most beautiful words that can go viral and touch people. Some of them is the most subtle things of just the story of how they're doing it, not necessarily the exact advice that they're giving. But everybody has a story. And that's important for 2 reasons. One, to know that you have a story you can tell at any point in any form to anyone, right? You own it. You can do that. A couple of days ago I watched From Scratch, myself and my friend Michelle. And Mitch was like, after watching From Scratch, which is basically a story of a couple, an American lady and an Italian man who fell in love in Italy when she was in Florence for an art study, and they moved to LA, and they got married, they had their challenges, and the man had cancer, and they had a baby, and he died after some time. And it's a true life story. So the person in question, the American lady, Tembi, I think, wrote a book about it, a memoir. And then Reese Witherspoon read the book and said we have to make it into a movie, and they made it into a limited 8-episode series on Netflix. And I think it's like highly rated right now. And Mitch was like, oh my God, you have to tell your story, because who knows? If you tell your story now, maybe Witherspoon will just sit, and next thing you know, everybody's watching in the world is watching your story on Netflix, and you're getting credits for it, right? So you have your story, and you can tell it at any time, in any format that you want, in any way that you want, because there's a story, and every story is great. It doesn't have to be tragic. It doesn't have to be any specific thing. It doesn't even have to be non-tragic. It just has to be your story, and just has to be true. That's on one side. On the other side is that the next person and everybody else that is not true also have a story. And you can decide to be more curious about learning about people and learning about the whys and the hows and how they got to where they are, so that just makes the relationship better, or makes you more conscious or more empathetic towards them. Because they also have a story, and it's not just about who they are now, what you see, it's about every other thing that they've done and they've experienced that has gotten them to this point. And if you know that, it just takes relationships and networking and everything human like to the next level. So everyone has a story. You know how people say forget the past? I don't know what number we are in right now though. But you know how people say, forget the past and leave the past in the past. That's good advice, but I think it's contextual. I think there are certain things that you leave behind that you want to forget, and that's fine. But I also think that our past self can teach us tremendous things about who we are now and what we could be and what could be. And I think that that's a very important thing, because if I look back, I can remember the things that I did that got me to here and try to replicate them to get me to the next point. If I look back, I can see the mistakes that I made and remember to avoid them so I can move forward faster in this life. So your past self can teach you stuff. I want to start making marketing videos again. I'm publishing them, and the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm so inspired by my 24-year-old self, who just said, you know what, I'm still very fresh in this career, but I'm going to teach people what I know anyway. I'm just remembering how much impact that has had in my life, and realizing that there's still a gap, and people still asking me, Peace, are you going to do this? And I'm like, you know what, old Peace, new Peace can do that again, and let's actually try it again. But that's just one very little tiny thing that my past self teaches me. But I'm learning to not just say, oh, the past is the past, but to be able to look back and just pick the lessons that I can replicate for the next step, or the ones that I need to avoid for the next step as well, right? But that's very important. And even the ones that are painful, I realized that you could, and that's probably the next lesson, that it's possible to get to a place with pain where you can look at it but not feel it when you have unhooked with pain. I used, because I'm very emotional, there's a time in my life where my medium draft is where I used to have all the rant about all the things going on wrong in my life. And so recently something triggered me, and I went back to my medium draft and I was reading it, and it felt like I was reading thoughts of somebody that I could not relate. So I was like, wow, Peace, you were in so much pain, but I can't relate. Even there's some things there that I couldn't even understand so much, and I had to like, what did you mean here? What happened in this instant? And I was talking to my friend about it, and she's like, wow, that's a very interesting way. That it's actually very possible to look pain and still hold it, but just be unhooked and not feel it. And that's healing, right? That I can remember that something happened, but in this time anymore, I don't feel it. But then looking back at it and remembering it can also, as with the last lesson, help me in how I navigate the things that I do next, if possible, to avoid any semblance of that old pain repeating itself. So that was a very interesting lesson. That's also another thing that I don't know what I'm going to do with, but it's good to learn what healing feels like, to just know that you can and will get to a point where even if you remember it, you won't feel it, or at least it won't hurt as much as you thought it would always will. Good work is timeless. If you do your best work, it's timeless in the sense of the memories you live with the people that you work with, and the impact it has for the people who come across that work or the product of that work. It's just something that stays. It's like when people talk about legacy, it's the way you make people feel, but it's also the output and the work that you do and how you do it and how you interact with people. And just knowing that you don't have to be in a place for a year or 2 years or 3 years to create impact that people remember and recommend, and that people look up to, and that people would miss if you leave. Every moment that you get the chance to is an amazing opportunity to just do great work that forever just imprints you in the memories of the people who were in that space. So yes, excellence and good work is timeless. I've lost count of what number we're in right now, but I'm just going to go ahead and finish up anyway. I hope what I've shared has made sense to you. But 3 quick ones that I want to end with is that 1, start with personal, wear what you want to wear, people come around. 2, money will always come if you give value. I've said this so many times in this channel, and I am reminded about it. I worry a lot about money because, hey, core value of stability. But I realize and I learn and we learn every day that if you give value, money would always come. Like, there's no other way to even put it. Money is like ocean. It will flow and come, it will flow and go, but it will always come back. It will always come back. It would always come back. It would always come back. Make smart choices about it, about investing, about saving, emergency funds. All of that's very important, popular financial advice. But most of all, become a person of value in whatever form. Just have something that adds value. Have a skill, have knowledge, have proof of work, do some traction, build some portfolio. Just do the parts that you can and keep building on it, and you never have to worry so much about it. And last one is, not the last one, second to last is that community is very important. I've learned more about community in the last 18 months that I've been in the UK than I have ever thought about or learned in my entire life. But just being somewhere that is not home and having to navigate a lot of the things that it brings, and how it is overwhelming and challenging and beautiful in every single way, it's not easy to do that by yourself. And community is important. So build your tribe, add on friendships, say what you want, be deliberate, be vulnerable, be open, live your truth. But you don't have to navigate life by yourself, so try not to. And the final one, rest. Oh. If you die tomorrow, every single thing that you're killing yourself for today, work, school, it will just keep moving on. So rest, take care of yourself. Your health first, rest, take care of yourself. Mind, body, spirit, take care of it. That's the most important part. And this is for me, this is for peace. When you watch this video, this is specifically for you. Rest, though, like really, like take care of yourself first, peace. Take care of yourself. Choosing peace is not just choosing peace of mind and joy. It's choosing you, taking care of yourself, mind, body, soul, spirit, emotions, physical, mental. Take care of yourself first. And happy birthday again to you, peace. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video to the end. I hope you learned something. If you did, let me know in the comment section which of these lessons made the most sense to you, which of them connected to you, which of them do you relate to, which of them are you going to hold closely going forward. Let me know in the comments. I'll be there to reply, I promise. Also, share this video, like it, and do not leave my channel without subscribing. If you also want to see more carefree videos like this, you know, you should tell me so that I know that, yes, it's not just in my head that I can do more than just 500 videos. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.